morning. It is currently Thursday. I have not filmed anything all week, and if you live in the United States, you probably know why. Tuesday was our election, and just the past couple days I haven't really felt like filming anything. You know, life, you need time to process things, find your joy in things. So I'm hopping in on Thursday, and I am getting back to life because life doesn't stop. Have to keep moving, have to keep doing things, and keep my business running. So I'm here this morning, and I'm gonna repair that brooch that I showed a little bit of. This is how behind I am. I haven't released the jewelry video for this brooch that I'm talking about. So by the time you see it, you're gonna know more about it than I originally intended. I'm really behind putting up any videos. So this brooch came in a recent jewelry lot that I got that sneak peek Trifari brooch in, and it was missing a piece. I received the piece I had ordered online. It's a vintage bead, and I'm just gonna rework it and make it my own. So I'm just taking pleasure in doing something that makes me happy, and that's being around vintage and fixing a vintage piece so that it can get its new life and new look. Okay, let's get started. Now I haven't opened yet, so it's still a little dark in here, but this is the brooch that I need to repair. And as you can see, there is a little cabochon that's missing. And I was going back and forth between the black scarab bead and this little pink rose quartz scarab one. And I don't know if I can get a good view of it, but let's see if I can get it. And you can't really see it very well, but there are little hieroglyphics carved on the back of that bead. So I decided I am gonna do this pink one. Now one of the prongs has broken off, and I assume that's why the original little stone is missing. So I'm just gonna work with what we have, see if it's secure enough, and go from there. All right, so we got that stone in there. Now, this one is gonna be a little worrisome because of the missing prong. It's gonna get loose very easily, but there's nothing much I can do about that. I don't have a soldering gun. I don't do any kind of metal or brass work, but it is what it is. And I really love this stone. Now I have to show you, it's this Etsy shop that sells a lot of these vintage and antique beads. There is the shop name if you want to go check them out for yourself. Wonderful service. This is exactly what I was looking for, exactly what I needed. Measurements were spot on, and I did get these little black ones as well. They were a nice little free gift. So just in case this one gets lost at some point, I have another one to replace it with, and I have other pieces that definitely could use this. I have in a jewelry haul that I did a little while ago, I received this 1960s gold tone Egyptian revival bracelet and matching earrings that had large black scarabs on it as well. So I might try to make a matching ring to go with it, but this works. And I really like how it looks. I like the contrast with the black and the pink. Obviously, it's my shop colors. But I love little jewelry pieces like this and just making little repairs where I can. Back in 2018, when I first opened my little shop in the basement of the building I'm currently in, I've told this story before, so if you've already heard it, bear with me, but I worked freight at Victoria's Secret to pay the rent for my little shop space. And I worked freight from 5:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then I would come to my shop and fulfill any online orders I had, or if I had any private appointments that wanted to come in. But I also, just to keep me sane and keep me doing something creative, I used to make jewelry and also headpieces. I have these pearl and rhinestone headpieces and headwear in back that I made while I was there. So it's a nice little pastime that I do. I don't sell them, I just make them and they accumulate, but this was definitely one of the easier ones. Eventually, I want to see if I can do something about that prong, but I really love how this turned out, and it was super quick, and it gave new life to this piece. And I just, how cool is it? Definitely 1940s. I'm gonna try not to keep it for myself. Now I just took a quick picture of this, and I want to get a little video of it on a mannequin in all of its glory. Now, I picked the scarab because the Egyptians believed that the scarab was a representation of rebirth and manifestation. And it took me a little bit to get the motivation to do this very minor repair. And I knew I needed to do it. It was sitting there taunting me all day yesterday, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But you chip away at it, you do your part so that a piece like this ends up better than how you found it, and just doing this minor little repair. And now it's a beautiful piece that someone in the future can enjoy. Now, if you have been watching all of the vintage haul videos, you may remember some of these pieces from one I did a couple of videos ago, and they are all of these 1970s suede pieces, and at least two of them, this green and red one, had pretty significant gnarly sweat stains in the pits. And what happens with suede, if you have suede boots, a suede coat, suede gloves, but especially boots, you'll notice in the winter, if you're walking on the sidewalk and it has been treated or some of that rock salt has been poured on it to eliminate the ice, you get these white deposits on your boots. And that's exactly what happens when you get sweat stains. Now, they were very prominent, obviously, on the red and green, to where you could see these white deposits very heavily. Like, there was no way I could sell them as is. It was gross. And I didn't know if I could bring them into the dry cleaner. If I wanted to learn how to do it myself. Let me just say it that way. And recently on a video, I had someone comment asking how I clean certain pieces, and I will be doing a dedicated video on that. But the specific method I used for this, I had never used before, and I didn't want to film it in case I messed up, and I don't want to give anybody the wrong information. So this was definitely trial and error. I'm not a fur expert. I am not a leather expert, suede, anything like that. So I wanted to make damn well sure that what I was doing wasn't going to show other people the wrong way to do this. So anywho, what I did, and I am going to pull these specific pieces first, is I obviously went online. I looked at a lot of forums from other vintage sellers that I trust. And there were a lot of different methods, so I really just had to figure out which one I thought would be best for what this is. And I chose the method of using isopropyl alcohol, or rubbing alcohol. Now online it recommended that you use 70%, and that was supposed to eliminate the salt deposits. I only got 50%, and I'll explain why it matters in a bit. But what I did is I took a clean towel. I used a white towel. Obviously, I didn't want to get any color transfer from the towel to either of these pieces. And I just dabbed it. I lightly dabbed it on. I didn't soak this piece with the rubbing alcohol. I dabbed it, let it dry, and then rubbed it with the towel where all of the white deposits were. Now, the reason why 50% isn't ideal is because I had to go over this multiple times. 70% obviously would have been more effective. However, I wasn't comfortable using that at this point. I was experimenting. So in the future, I will use 70%. Now on this one, and I didn't have the foresight to take a picture of this before and after. So I'll leave myself a note to maybe put in a screen still of the buying appointment I had and show what the stain looked like. But it had a very white cast under here. Now what the alcohol doesn't do is take away some of the discoloration on the acetate lining. However, it did a really, really fine job of doing it on here. And luckily the back is polyester, so I only had to do it to this side. Now the other one is where you will notice a difference. This one was really, really bad. And the fact that I got any of it off, I feel very proud, but you can still see there's a little bit of a white cast there. Now I went over this a few times, but it's really the rubbing that I was worried about. I didn't want to completely rub off and ruin the suede. So this is as far as I got. It's not perfect, but it is cleaned. Just that sweat stain was very, very heavy, and I kind of knew my luck would be tested and that. But overall, I think it turned out pretty well. With this piece in particular, I might just poke at it a little bit more, but if I can't get this to look any better, I mean, I'm still going to sell this piece, but I'm going to sell it for a very, very low price because, again, I just don't want it to end up being thrown, and that's what a lot of these pieces would have become. It would have become garbage. So I'm not super worried about that. It looks worse on camera than what it does in person, but I'll keep tinkering with that. Now this red one was a little bit trickier because, like the vest, it comes from the same brand. It has suede, a suede panel here, but the rest of it is polyester. So again, you can't just throw it in the wash. You have to work around it. And this one also had some really gnarly stains as well. And I think I did a pretty good job at it. I mean, you can see a little tiny bit of discoloration here, but it's definitely not as bad as it was when I received it. This is the side that had the most sweat staining on, and very similar to the other one, you can still see this little white cast here. I'm going to use a dry cloth and just go over it one more time. I'm not going to vigorously scrub, just lightly do it to see if I can maybe get the white cast to go a little bit more. But this one, it was really bad, and you can see the suede has started to wrinkle a bit because it was left that way. It was never cleaned at that point, so that's just damage that happens with age and letting that sit. But I do think overall it's a very good improvement. I took a couple of days to do this and to make sure I was letting the alcohol dry properly and enough. So not shabby, not too bad. I've never used rubbing alcohol before. I've always done vinegar or woolite, very light mediums. So this was something very different for me. And it turned out okay. I mean, these pieces are still extremely wearable. Just, you know, you have these little flaws that happen because our bodies emit things. And there's not much you can do about that unless you wear those sweat guards, which I don't even know. I think those are still a thing. But then this vest, I got it home, and because the lighting at my house is different than here, I couldn't really tell what the problem with it was. I know I think it was more of just the yellowing on top of the shoulders, and that wasn't from sweat staining. It was just age from being on a hanger in storage for so long. But I made sure to go over and double check each of the underarms, and it, again, turned out pretty good. Same exact brand. So I'm just going to finick around with these a little bit more and get them priced and put out. And I'm going to put them at a really good deal because I just want them to be appreciated and move on to their next life. So that is an update on that. Slowly chipping away at the cleaning pile. Brought another batch home last night. That's going to be, I tell you, underarm sweat stain, it's one of the worst things that I have to deal with as a vintage shop owner in terms of clothing. I get the rust stain here and there, but those are pretty manageable. You can disguise it. Sometimes they're not as set in, but sweat stains are by and large the hardest thing for me to clean, but I'm determined. I am determined to not let it beat me. So yeah, if you're interested in other cleaning methods, let me know. I'm gonna compile a video. Just might take a little bit. I was cleaning out some little storage containers I had in my office, and I forgot about these really beautiful vintage jewelry stones that I collected at one point, and I bought a ton of them in different shapes, sizes, colors, and I realized that they're not doing any good sitting in my desk, that I really do need to go through and do something with these. So after repairing that brooch, I decided I am going to try to find some, I want to try to find vintage ring settings, but that might be a little trickier. But I want to find some settings so I can start getting these pieces into actual jewelry. So I'm going to look at some of the settings on that Etsy shop that I just showed and scour and see if I can find any ring settings or settings in general that just stand out to me, and I can start finally putting these in their intended place. Good morning. It is Friday and I am getting things ready for the day. Now, I didn't film this, but it was sometime over the summer. I had a buying appointment where the woman had a crap ton of vintage aprons, and she was either going to throw them or I take them. So I took them, and I've been saving these two closer to the holidays. Really cute little Christmassy holiday aprons. So I'm going to get those steamed and put out and start going through and organizing this whole rack. This is my meditation space and my comfort space. So I'm just going to enjoy it while I can until I open and the day starts. Okay, it's Friday night. I just closed. And I didn't get a chance to today, but one of my friends dropped off a bag of vintage clothing from one of my former bosses. And they thought of me when they saw these pieces back in San Francisco. So I thought, cool, this is a nice little surprise to see what's in here. And I know for a fact one of them is a vintage slip. Already, I love it. Now, how beautiful is this? It is a crocheted little, normally you would see these as little bed or nightcaps, but maybe they wore these out and about, but really great nightcap put over your curler, rig strips, whatever were used back then. Really, really cool. And I know this one has to be a slip, of course. Oh yes, it's this beautiful, peachy, lovely lace nightgown. And I love this little embroidered dotting technique. Now I have a piece from, oh gosh, what was it? The late 19th century. But one of my friends who is an amazing sewist and knows embroidery, there's a special name for this particular method. So if I can't find it by the time I do this video, feel free to leave what that method is in the comments. But absolutely gorgeous. And you can kind of see on the back through this panel of fabric right here, that method. Absolutely gorgeous. No maker's tag, but look at the cut of that. It's missing its little belt, but that doesn't matter. Absolutely gorgeous. Another wonderful, beautiful cotton blouse with floral embroidery and little lace detailings. I didn't know, like, I remember that I was going to be given these, but I didn't know what time period it was. So it's really cool that it's an older period. And this looks to be, oh gosh, I want to say more Edwardian. If I had to make an estimate right now. Ooh, I have to turn this around. Oh, look at how gorgeous that is. I get so lost in the details. You don't see craftsmanship like this anymore. And it's devastating because this was truly an art form. And those out there who are still doing it, I mean, please keep doing it. Teach anyone you can, because this is an art form that we can't lose. It's absolutely stunning. Of course, we can't forget the Dickie. You know, something that hasn't really been in fashion since really the 70s, and they started to go out of vogue in the 80s. But I think it'd be cool to make a little comeback. I mean, I know I wear a lot of tops sometimes that they are lower cut, but I don't want to wear multiple layers of shirts under it. So if there was a really cool Dickie like that, or where is that Edwardian piece I had? I put it away somewhere. But the sheer black ruffle Dickie, I mean, I would wear that in an absolute heartbeat. But again, you get these really beautiful crochet details. And really, with a lot of these methods, I mean, machines can't do that. This was hard, laborious work. It took time. And I mean, you look closely, you really, really can tell. Now this piece. This piece is amazing. Look at this beautiful slip and the leaves. Little satin, silk satin leaves sewn into it. This intricate lace. This floral motif is pretty consistent through all of the pieces. And this one does have a little label right here. So I'm willing to bet this might be, I want to say it's more from the 20s. It is shorter, and there are just little details that make me think it's a little bit earlier. Could be from the very early 30s, but I'm willing to bet it's mid to late 20s. But it's delicate, but not fragile. I mean, it's like a cloud when you're holding that. It's just stunning. I'm gonna drool over it. Now this is last piece from the bag, and it's this kind of creamy ivory color with, of course, the floral lace and netting on it. And this is another one that appears to be from the 20s. Just every time I look at it, the details, like the scalloped edges right here. I mean, I say this time and time again, and you'll get sick of me saying it, but it bears repeating. I mean, if you were to find details like this in clothing now, A, it rarely happens, and B, if you do find pieces like that and they're contemporary, you're going to be paying, I mean, hundreds if not thousands of dollars, depending on what the garment is, who made it, what the material is. Because pieces like this just don't exist, especially in lingerie. I have a lot of people that come in. I specialize in vintage lingerie and sleepwear. And I have people of all ages coming in, buying slips, half slips, because you cannot find comparable brands now. You have some really good brands that make, you know, reproductions, but it's not the same fabric. It's not the same material. It just isn't the same. And a lot of that, you know, goes back to, again, these nylon slips. you don't find them anymore. I know someone told me you might be able to find them on like jcpenney's.com, but then you just get the standard white and you want more colors. You could dye it, but that's a lot of work. It's a mess. But I just love vintage lingerie so much. So that was a nice little surprise. Emptied the bag. I'm so appreciative of it because I know at all of my former jobs, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in the salon management business, I've worked in freight, I've worked in salon freight, I've been a dishwasher, I've worked in every possible industry. And the one thing that was always consistent, I would always tell people that I wanted to start my own vintage shop. I love vintage, I love fashion, I love history, and it is pretty funny when I talk to people I used to work with, and they're just not surprised I ended up where I am. And they know how hard I worked to get here, and you know, when they think of me, when they see pieces like this coming from their own families, it really means a lot. Especially because I know I never shut up about it, how much I wanted this. Well, I think this is a good way to end Friday and hop into the weekend. Good morning. It is currently Sunday, and as per usual, I am in the shop early this morning. My goal is to get a few things done back here, clean it up a bit, and then get ready because I have a meeting this morning involving an event I'm hoping to do in the future, trying to save any little bit of energy I have and allocate it to the things I've been wanting to do for a while. I think you all know, when in life, when you have multiple jobs, you're working, you have a family, you're being pulled in a million different directions, it gets hard to find time and energy to do things that you love and that you enjoy. It almost feels like we sacrifice that just so we can survive and live day to day. So my lesson that I'm trying to instill in myself is any little bit of energy I have to put towards things that make me happy, that make others happy, I try to balance that out with what I'm doing in the shop, at home. So that's my goal today. That's what this meeting is about, is finally getting some things done I've been wanting to do for a while, and little by little just getting the energy to make it happen. Yes, that's where I'm at today. I'm trying not to think too far ahead about stuff, not get overwhelmed with life. It seems like that's the theme of this week, and as the title of the video will show, I love this saying, and I have it in a magnet form here. Actually, let me grab it. This one's been a popular one this week. What a year this week has been, and we feel it. So, as the title of this video has shown, it has been a week, but gonna keep on keeping on and just chip away at things little by little. Now, on top of that, this coming week, I am going to be starting some volunteer work, and I'll get into that more in the weeks ahead, but just trying to make time and make space for things I really care about, people I really care about, and just shifting perspective to the bigger picture and not being so entrenched in what's happening in the shop, and just trying to be present in life as much as possible. So those are my Sunday thoughts, but now I'm just going to get organized, get myself ready for that meeting I have this morning, and get to it. That's all we can do. Now, one random thing that you probably don't know about me is I love to do surveys. I love questionnaires, I love surveys, and through my business, I work with some different platforms that offer, little payment here and there for interviews, surveys about their services and whatnot. And this week I did a Zoom interview about a platform I use, and interview went for about an hour, 15 minutes. Really fun. I love that. I love that stuff. I love questions. I love giving feedback. I love it. So I did that survey, got paid to do it, and I was finally able to get more plastic hanger covers for all of my pieces. I've been putting pieces on the floor that have heavy beading and a lot of embellishment, and I've been trying to get these plastic covers on everything. Yesterday, we had a group of high school girls come in and they just ripped apart the store, and those plastic covers saved a lot of pieces. So I was happy to get more of these in, and I'm going to get some more on pieces that have been needing it for a while, but that I like doing surveys and they do pay off. So if you're someone out there who likes answering questions, you like busy work, get into doing surveys. I love it. I do them through my website. I'm on Squarespace. I do little ones here and there, and they do pay off. And it's kind of like a crossword puzzle to me. I like just the busyness of it and the payoff. It's the end of the day on Sunday. Getting ready to go home, get some rest. Had a great meeting today. A lot of great ideas. Moving full force on some projects that I want to do. And I was really happy today because I had someone come in who had been really curious about my Debbie Reynolds bra and the story behind it. So it was just nice. It was good conversations today and things that really pick up my spirit. So I'm going to leave it on that. Leave it here at Debbie Reynolds 1953 MGM bra. It's been a week, but we're going to end it on a positive note and with something that is inspiring. So thank you all so much again for watching this week. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.